In this video, I'll show you how peanut butter is made. Most of you love peanut butter, but have you ever wondered how it's made? I know most of you don't think about these things, and that's why I'm here. I'll show you the entire production process, from selecting, roasting, grinding, and packaging. Plus, you'll also get insight on the business side of it, how to run and manage production locally.
Here with me, I have somebody doing the sorting. They usually come when they are not sorted. This one now is a peanut butter roaster. The roasted peanut now comes here, we put it, this is now the airing rack. We call this a decatricator. I use this only for those peanuts that are supplied in supermarkets. The SDS, they usually prefer this product so much. It is part of their meal for all those days of camp meeting. I can say this is their staple food. The largest producer of yogurt in Kenya is in Malawi. A machine like this will go for around 90 to 100,000. When the chemist team came here, they usually gave us a protocol to follow. Here's just a sample. Each and every step of production, we are given something to the quality guidelines that guide us through the production process. For instance, things like temperatures, the color of the nut, and again, each and every batch that you roast, you have to give it a batch number. We typically roast raw groundnut, 100% peanut. No additive is placed in the product. In Kenya, generally, groundnut production is still low. When you approach a retail outlet or a mega store, they usually want some requirement before you bring products into their shelves.
If this is a hustle you'd like to start, then you clicked on the right video. And if you get excited watching such videos and experiences, you know what to do.
Okay, my name is Stephen Ambayo, founder of Magambo Supply Chain. We generally deal in peanut butter value addition, where we source the raw groundnuts from suppliers or farmers, after which it goes through the processing, that is work in progress, and then to the final output, that is the peanut butter. Here with me, this is now the stores room. Here we have the raw groundnuts from the suppliers and farmers. We generally put them on top of the pallets to avoid the ground coming in contact with the moisture. This is now the raw groundnut. When it comes to the raw groundnut, for instance, with this now this is the white small groundnuts. This one we source from Sirare border, Tanzania Sirare border. We also have the white small groundnuts from Uganda. We have different varieties of groundnuts. Currently, those two varieties are the ones I have. Otherwise, we also have other forms of groundnuts. We have the red big ones. We also have the red small ones. Some can come from Bewa. Most of the small scale farmers around, they also plant various varieties of raw groundnuts. This one is roasted. After sourcing from the farmers, we usually sun dry it in the sun to reduce moisture content. That's a way of preservation. When groundnuts have moisture in them, they give room to some organisms. Usually here, a case of aflatoxin in peanut butter. So they usually say, make sure that you source from the right source, that is, raw groundnut that has low moisture content in it. This is now the storage room. From the storage room, here with me, I have somebody doing the sorting. Raw groundnuts from the suppliers, they usually come when they are not sorted. So sorting is usually done to remove any foreign particle that is usually found in the raw groundnut. As you can see down there, this is the raw groundnut. In that basket, you can see there we have some rusty groundnuts that are you have to remove them to ensure quality to the end consumer. After sorting, we do now the roasting. We call this one now is a peanut butter roaster. It uses electricity and there is a motor that rotates the drum. This is now where we put the raw groundnuts. You can see it's made of stainless steel. Below this container, we have the source of electricity. We use electric coil. Now the electric coil hits the drum, the air inside it expands and also becomes hot. The raw groundnuts, as they jangle up and down in the heat, they turn their color from white to a brown yellow color. Yeah, so for instance, this roaster does around 25 kg of raw nuts in 2 hours. This one has a larger capacity, meaning in 2 hours time, I'll have 25 kg of roasted peanuts. The one for the sofria and the jiko, generally it is tiresome, meaning that the person who will be handling that, after 2 hours, you will find that you shall have done maybe around 5 kg in 2 hours. Compared to this, it is economical in terms of time, in terms of orders, in terms of manpower, and again, it is now less labor intensive. After roasting, the roasted peanut now comes here. We put it. This is now the airing rack. It is placed here for some time to cool. Once the temperatures have reduced, the next phase of production after roasting is now tuingia pandani. We call this a decatricator or a peanut butter sheller. Yeah, I use this only for those peanuts that are supplied in the supermarkets. The roasted groundnut, you feed it in this channel. It is fed here. As it goes through the machine, there's a fan in the machine that does the separation of the husks. That's the husks. It does the separation of husks and the grain itself. So this one generally is done for the groundnuts that are supplied in the supermarkets. Yeah, it's a requirement through the Kenya Bureau of Standards for you to supply the retail outlets in Kenya. All peanut butter that have been roasted, they have to be shelled. That shelled peanut, once roasted, it increases the shelf life of peanut butter in the shelves. That's why you'll find things like grade 1, grade 2. So for all supermarkets, the ones that are packaged in the jars, you have to remove the outer skin. That's a requirement. It also uses electricity. From this phase, now we go to the production room. Roasted groundnuts now are brought. This is now a peanut butter mill. As you can see, this is now the feeder. This one we feed the roasted groundnuts. They are being crushed, being turned into a smooth paste. This is another set of machines. Here we have ready peanut waiting for packaging. We use this machine for packaging. As you can see down there, we have the weighing scale. Usually, when roasted groundnuts are fed, the first time it's a bit dense, but we do it repetitively. After the first phase, again it is returned back into the machine for the second phase. From there, we feed it this side. The more the milling, the thinner the paste. So if you want to come up with a fine paste, we mill it around 2 to 3 times to come up with this smooth texture. In terms of packaging, we have different sizes. This one here is 125 grams. Factory price is 100 shillings. That's for 1 piece. Now, for those who are doing businesses in the field, they usually come here and buy in bulk. So they usually pick in terms of dozens, which means this one a dozen will carry 12 pieces. And when somebody goes for a dozen, this thing will go up to 70 shillings a piece, meaning they'll get 30 shillings profit per unit. This one here is 400 grams. The factory price for this is 250 shillings. That's for those who are buying individual units. Those who want to buy in bulk, that's now wholesale price. A dozen that carries 12 of these will go for 2,400 shillings. Meaning somebody will buy it at 200 shillings at wholesale price, sell it at 250, profit margin of 50 shillings. Then the larger one, this one now is 800 grams. Factory price for this is 450 shillings. Those who are buying it in large scale, a dozen of these will go at 4,800 shillings. As you can see, the product itself, you have the manufacturing date, expiry date, the batch number, the barcode is there for the retail outlets. The KEBS mark is also here, plus the number down there, meaning it's a certified product that can be sold anywhere in the country. I've also done my own research. If you read the journals in regard to peanut butter, then the natural peanut butter itself, in its natural state, now depending on various factors, it can go from 6 months to 24 months, depending on exposure to various variants. Once this thing is sealed the way it is, for instance, mine I've written here, it goes for 9 months. These ones I used to store. I usually use them to store the milled one, waiting packaging. You can walk around the biggest stores in Rongo. You have Maganda supermarkets. You'll find the product on the shelf. Kodesh Mall or Kodesh Junior, you'll also find the products on the shelves. Yeah, so for those clients around the Rongo sub-county environment, you can always pass by around those large stores. We have them there. What usually drives us in this business is the demand for the product. The peak demand usually for this product starts from the month of August all the way through to February. Yeah, You'll find, for instance, in the whole of August, we have the SDA camp meetings. They usually prefer this commodity. I can say this is their staple food. The SDAs, they usually prefer this product so much. It is part of their meal for all those days of camp meeting. Yeah, so through their demand, they also boost us in terms of sales revenue. Before you start the business, first of all, you have to find for a place that has reliable electricity. For instance, the machines you see are three-phase machines. I use three-phase motors for production because they are very efficient in the long run. For the roaster, there I have single-phase. The roaster uses a single-phase motor for rotation, but for the milling machines, I have three-phase motors for production. So for those who want to venture in the business, first of all, you have to look for a reliable source of raw materials, because without the raw material, you can't have the end product. The largest producer of raw groundnuts, or the largest producer of raw groundnuts in Kenya is in Malawi. This one can do 6 kg. This one was locally fabricated by my dad. For those who want to purchase it, you can check it via, we have a farm in Kisumu called Mixer Foods and Beverages. It's an agricultural farm that fabricates any agricultural machinery that deals in all crops. If you want maize, they have everything there sorted. If you want peanut butter, they have the roasters, they have the millers, they have the peanut butter shellers, everything under their roof. A machine like this in Mixer Foods and Beverages will go for around 90,000. Let me just say 90 to 100,000. For the roasters, prices vary depending on the capacity that carries the raw groundnut. There are others that go for 70,000. There are others you find for 60,000. Peanut roasters, you also find some will go for 40,000, but you'll find they'll be carrying minimum capacities. But for those that want to venture in continuous production, you'll be forced now to buy the larger package. For our local consumption, people prefer the husks because you'll find it's very rich in fiber. In fact, you'll be taking, it's like you're taking the whole meal. No additive, but you're taking the whole meal in its whole form. It's usually the best, but now for those that usually go to the supermarkets, the husks are usually removed because peanut butter generally in the supermarkets, they take longer. The husks are usually removed to prolong the shelf life of the product on the shelf. Okay, and again, for us, for the groundnuts that we have removed the husks, we usually have those who are carrying out dairy farming activities. They usually come to our farm, we usually stop for them, then we sell for them so that they can also mix with their dairy feeds to aid their cattle in milk production. The challenge of running business sana, you'll find it is labor intensive. It involves a lot of labor. You have to be there to monitor the quality from the first phase of production to the last phase. But quality usually starts from the first phase. If you've sourced a raw groundnut from the supplier, from a farmer, and you've seen it doesn't meet your standards, we are told to reject it. When the KEBS team came here, they usually gave us a protocol to follow. Just as a sample, each and every step of production, we are given something to the quality guidelines that guide us through the production process. For instance, these are the quality checks. Drying, we are told that make sure that the raw groundnut is fully dried. No moisture should be in it, by all means. Roasting, criteria, all the parameters look for in roasting, things like temperatures, the color of the nut, and again, each and every batch that you roast, you have to give it a batch number so that it can be easily traced in the market. Grinding, cooling, packaging, labeling, storage, dispatch. Generally, these are local production. We typically roast raw groundnut, pure, 100% peanut. No additive is placed in the product. That's now what brings the pricing difference. For instance, Blueband peanut butter. If you come to this our package here, in the line of ingredients, we only have one item, roasted peanut. If you look at the multinational farms, for instance, Blueband peanut butter, if you go under the ingredients, you'll find roasted peanut, sugar, salt. You see, the more you add the items, meaning the more you impose the price. But for us, we only roast the peanut itself, milled and packaged for sale. We don't even include salt in it. Most of our clients that usually come to our shop, they are the diabetic nature of people. Somebody who's diabetic in nature, he doesn't want salt, doesn't want sugar. They're usually advised to take the peanut butter just the way it is. So they usually prefer it. In fact, they make the biggest percentage of our customers. When the KEBS team usually come to the premise, they usually pick these samples. They go with them to their laboratories. For instance, the nearest laboratory is Lake Region, that is in Kisumu. They'll come and pick the samples, then they'll test them again with some parameters. Of which the one that they usually don't want, aflatoxin, that usually comes in two forms. We have aflatoxin B1 and total aflatoxin. So in each and every production of peanut butter, they have given us the minimum threshold that we should meet as a farm. Of which the moment you have passed the threshold, you'll be in for it. This business was started by my dad when I was still young. and it passed on in 2016, meaning production stopped and the machines were generally kept. They were just idling. They were kept. Let me just say they were kept. They were just idling in the house there. After my graduation, I pursued BSc, Purchasing and Supplies Management. After my graduation, I thought it wise. Through my knowledge in school, purchasing and supplies, I can also venture in this. We have been taught everything from purchasing, sourcing, name them, to then product, everything in that line of business. I'm well conversant with it. So currently, I'm the one in charge. In Kenya, generally, groundnut production is still low. Sometimes farmers come to our premise to supply us with the raw groundnut, but you find that the amount that they're willing to supply you with can't sustain the business. So we have to source for more from other parties. In Facebook, we have our page, Magambo Supply Chain. That's the one I have for now. We have different clients. Locally, let's say locally, the business is good. But now, outside now, Rongo sub-county, we have clients in Nairobi. Somebody can give you a call, telling you the quantity he or she wants. We do the milling. We package it for them in the larger pails. Then we use this courier services. We put for them there, then they'll receive them at their respective destinations. Customer can consume your product. They will tell you it was good. They will tell a friend. In fact, that's how the business has picked so far. With me here, this is now my documentation in terms of my business. This one here is now the Kenyan standard of peanut butter product specification. This is now from KEBS. This is the booklet that I downloaded from the website. This booklet, as you can see, it guides you on all the parameters that are required within the peanut butter production. Let me just give you a sample. As you can see, in peanut butter, this thing is so-called aflatoxin. We have total aflatoxin and aflatoxin B1. So once the people of KEBS have tested your product, they'll test it against this standard, and they usually give feedback. If your product is less than 15, you see they've placed maximum limit. 15 is the maximum limit for total aflatoxin in terms of UG per kilogram, and we have also aflatoxin B1. Maximum rate should be 5. So the results from the laboratories, once your product goes in within that threshold, they'll just tell you are good to go. In fact, they'll tell you your product is safe for consumption in Kenya. In terms of hygiene, if you look at the part of the same peanut butter, we have microbiological requirements for peanut butter. Something like E. coli should be absent in the peanut. Salmonella should be absent in the peanut. When you approach a retail outlet or a mega store, they usually want some requirement before you bring products into their shelves. They'll ask you for your business registration, meaning for you to do a business with the retailers in the Kenya, you have to register your business. The government has to have an idea that you are doing such a business, such that in case of any complaint from the consumer, you can be easily traced. So with me here is my business registration. This is just a copy. My business registration certificate, Magambo Supply Chain. You also have to get a trade license from the county. That is usually paid once in a year. That's also another requirement. Apart from that, we also have the health requirements. All our employees that we have in the premise, they have to be medically fit. People from the health unit usually come to our premise to certify so far the structure itself. Is it fit for you to carry business in such a structure? If there's any issue, they usually advise otherwise. Change this, fanya hivi, na itakuwa sawa. Now from there, again for retail outlets, I said they usually want the business registration certificate. Again, they also want your taxpayer information, the KRA PIN for business. We are placed under medium and small sized enterprises in Kenya, meaning you'll find that maybe the people we work with are less than 10, 5. That's why they call us small enterprises. So you'll find that the government in a way also understands. For instance, if you look at the part of KRA, okay, we are producing a vertible good. Peanut butter is a vertible commodity. But the people of KRA, they came in a system in that if they find that your sales revenue in a year is more than 5 million, then that you have to include VAT in your end product. But if your revenue is less than 5 million in a year, you are not allowed by any means to add VAT to the commodity. So on our side, as small businesses, we are exempted from putting VAT on our products. But for the retailers that usually supply, because they are going to sell a vertible commodity, and their output of sales is usually big, they'll be forced now to apply VAT on the commodity that we are supplying them with. Like I said earlier, I want to show you a sample. With me, this is now a sample of a sales. When I want to, for instance, say this is our client, Mangana Discount Center Limited. So once they give you an order through WhatsApp, specifying the number of units and the number of units of each gram that they want, you'll be forced to log into the e-citizen platform of. Under that e-citizen platform, we have different categories. There's KRA there, KEBS pia wako hapo. So depending on what you want to do, once you've logged into the KRA portal, in fact, it's a very simplified process. It's giving you an input, you simply key it in, and everything comes. So for instance, if I log in into my system, there's that part under the KRA platform, the one for eTIMS, Electronic Tax Information Management System. That's where we usually produce the invoices for sales. For instance, you can see this is a sales invoice from me individually to this firm. The CU invoice number is there, meaning the KRA on their end. Once they scan this QR code, they'll know that this thing is legit and it's in the system. In fact, this is what they usually use to track your sales. Meaning if you hit the threshold for sales, for instance, for small businesses, for those who are doing businesses like me, you'll find that under tax bracket, if our sales hit 1 million in a year, then you'll be called, you'll be advised otherwise on how to submit turnover tax. Turnover tax is for any businesses, be it small, as long as your sales revenue in a year it's 1 million shillings and above. If it is less than 1 million, again you are also exempted from it. So let me give an example of Magana Discount Center. I've done business so far with them now 1 year plus. Once you've taken your invoice to them, latest they can pay you from the date you've presented the invoice to them, the latest time they can pay you maximum 30 days. That's the maximum so far they've taken with me. Kama ni kidogo, minimum 2 weeks and you get your check. And then now you leave him not to do the sale. Meaning the moment you see the next order from him where the WhatsApp means the products that you had initially given him are out of stock. You see, so market usually carries all variety of goods. So you'll find that those who like mine, they usually pick mine. We have, for instance, if you go to the shelf of peanut butter in these stores, they are all there on the shelf. So depending on the movement of the goods on the shelf is what will now bring the reordering of a commodity. They gave me they gave me upper hand. They welcomed me, because most of the products that they were selling, the peanut butter that from their shelves, in fact, all of them are manufactured in Nairobi. But this one here, locally made in Rongo. So they said bring it because it's a locally produced item. In fact, you'll also find it's a bit cheap in terms of cost, logistics cost, transport charges. Kidogo sana. Anytime they make an order, within 1 to 2, 3 days, ishafika kwa shelf. At first, when you approach a retailer, you usually find some resistance. To them, they usually want something that is moving, that's something that customers are already well conversant with. Once you've introduced a new product into the system, first of all, you have to face some resistance. For instance, I first gave them small quantities. I gave them small quantities in number. They tried. In 3 weeks, they were all gone compared to the competitors, and they were surprised. What is happening? After that, now I started talking to them dozen of which quantity, a dozen of which quantity of which will buy in less than 30 days. All the units are all gone. Now from there, they started ordering 2 dozens of each commodity. After 2 months, you are sure that after 2 months, you'll get an order. And again, the reason why you'll find customers going for this on the shelf, you see customers of late are very bright. A customer will pick a commodity, we look at the expiry date, the production date. So to say, you want on the shelf in any supermarket, you have picked a commodity. You'll find Magambo peanut butter is there. You'll find that maybe it was manufactured 1 week ago. Compared to the one for the competitor, you'll find it was manufactured 4 months ago. A customer will say, I want something fresh. He'll pick that one and go with it. That alone, probability of getting my commodity in a supermarket that was manufactured that month is 100% compared to the competitors. The packing jars, we source them from Nairobi. There's this farm in Nairobi called. If you want any packaging material in Kenya, be it from peanut butter, be it for water, be it anything, any commodity that goes in a bottle, that company will sort you out. Also, our stickers are also here with us. The stickers for labeling of the peanut butter. This one here is for 400 grams. I have these ones here for 125 grams. let's have another one here. This one is for 250 grams. This one here for 800 grams. In business generally, if you want to lower the production cost of any commodity, everything that you do, you have to do it in large scale so that you can maximize on output. You see, even the sacks of peanut butter that I source, you'll find that if you buy for small quantities, you'll find, for instance, if you go in the market, our market in town, if they use the gorogoro to measure for you the quantity that you want, you'll find it is expensive compared to somebody buying in bulk. So if you buy in bulk, you'll find that 50 shillings will be saving per unit. If you source for this direct from the factory, it's cheap. Come also to stickers. If you tell the person making for you the labels to produce for you in small numbers, it will be very expensive. But if you take them in large quantities, it will be so cheap to the extent that some will even go for as little as 5 bob. So the secret to any business generally, do something in large scale for you to maximize on output. The 800 grams that we sell at the factory at 450 shillings, you'll find that the cost of production will be around 370 shillings, depending on various factors. That's why I told you, for those who are picking it on wholesale, we'll give them at 400 shillings. You see, in business, you can see somebody running a very big multinational firm or a very big business. What people usually don't understand in business, we have something here called gross sales. You can find, maybe I'm buying sacks of groundnuts. Maybe I bought 20 sacks of groundnuts. The cost of buying or purchasing those 20 sacks of groundnuts maybe was even 400,000. You see, if you tell somebody that is 400,000, to them they think that's the profit. No, that's not the profit. That's the round figure. In fact, that's the purchasing price. You take that, you put it aside. From there, you also have to add logistics, come to production, electricity is being consumed here. You have to buy for instance, you have to buy the packaging. So you have to play about with those figures in a way that you don't mess up with your capital. Generally in business, if you mess up with the capital, you're doomed. Just play about with your profits, but maintain the capital, because it's the one that is running the business as a whole. Actually, after graduation, I tried looking for a job. I tried these very big firms. Then the number of times I applied for a job after graduation was 3 times. But then I came back home and was like, something should be done here. The moment I came with the help of my mom, and she told me, just start. We were surprised. Ever since my dad passed on, all the clients that were frustrated, that got disappointed, that now they could not get their product anymore, within a span of 6 to 1 year, they all returned back to business. It's like tulikuwa tunaumiza tu, because they were so much used to the quality of product that my dad used to produce to them compared to the competitors in the market. So that one also gave me a turnaround. I was like, if people can come back to this, then I should also put more effort into the business. In any business in Kenya, what drives people is the total number of customers you serve. If you have less customers, meaning you'll be having less revenue. If you have more customers, you'll have more revenue. The market share, in fact, people are just competing for the market share. So for you to win the market share, make sure you don't play about with quality. Maximize on quality, but then don't exaggerate the prices so much, because you'll find that you're not the only player in the field. You are a customer, somebody wants to decide same product, mwingine pena kutaka upande ule same product. So just play with the customer. As long as the product is quality and they love it and they like it, they'll always come back for a repeat purchase.
You now have the knowledge of how to produce peanut butter and how to run the business. Execution ndo imebaki. If you want to buy from him, his number is in the description. If you have questions, I'll be glad to answer them in the comment section. It's been your girl hapa Sophie Juma. See you in the next hustle.